How I edited the relics of the past. Part 2. Sorry for taking so long to get to part 2. School started and quite frankly, I'm fucking tired. So this is definitely going to be a more uncut, uncensored version of the previous one. But I won't hesitate to go over everything the same way. It's going to be a lot simpler and easier to understand now that I've explained the concepts from the start in part 1. Here we go with the first part of it. We get into one of the many multiplayer shots that you see in this video where there's 5 of us on screen at once. The first instinct that people said when they saw this was, herder, look, they got multiplayer working and it's insane. No, it's not multiplayer at all. Remember what I said earlier about rotoscoping? Well, that's all this is. Since this cutscene is consistent every time you play it, what I thought to do was to move Link in 4 different places before I started the cutscene. To do that, I just walked forward to a specific line on the ground, jumped over twice again, and activated the cutscene 4 times in each of our outfits. Now comes the hard part. What you want to do is you want to go in for every single one of these characters and you want to mask everything out. I'm talking every single limb, every single finger, everything. Now it sounds really difficult on pen and paper, but you only have to do one of them because of the reason why this shot works. The cutscene is the same every time. So you can effectively use the same mask for every player instead of wasting your time. After all that debacle, we get to the Guardian Scout fight sequence, which, to be blunt, is my favorite combat sequence in the entire montage because 1, I like Guardian Scout clips, and 2, there's just something so satisfying about watching people beat the shit out of these guys. It's fun watching what people can come up with. All this is in terms of editing is a couple of clever cuts. It dissolves into Koro walking the same way Shaden was. Then it dissolves into me after Koro deploys the paraglider, landing on the ground and running forward. Again, just to dissolve. The best one in this sequence though is at the end after I shoot this ice arrow. I don't know how I got this idea, but I got the idea to use the ice arrow effects to mesh into the parry effects that you see in Overskies like this. At the end of the Guardian segment, you can see this whole debacle. This is just Zelda's freaking light cutscene that you get at the start of the game, and it's just one of those transitions that I really like to do with the whole oversaturated, really bright, flash in your face, then cut back to the original video. That's all that is. Now let's move on to something else. Here we have the crest of the rising sun. I don't know why I called it that. I thought it sounded cool then, but I look back at it now and it sounds like the name of a Johnny Cash song. But that doesn't matter. We're here to edit, damn it. Here we have the first transition. It is just another one of those transitions that I talked about earlier. It's a transition that goes in flashes bright and then flashes dark like this. There's another insane transition from Corki to Oversky where Koro's fighting 2 Lionels and then it instantly cuts to Oversky and Hebra fighting 1 Lionel. It's like this. It helps to understand how the characters move, but that's pretty easy when you've been doing combat for a long time. Understanding how the characters move is essential to getting transitions like this, because when you do, you can nail it every single time and it will look freaking awesome. I want to talk about this video and this video. These are just the same video, it's just cut in 2 to make sure it doesn't overlap into the next video like that. But this is an 8,000% speed time lapse of the overworld. The reason I had behind this was simple. When you speed the game up in CMU, the clouds and the environment above move really fast along with the environment in Death Mounted, but everything else like the flagpoles, the swaying of trees, the grass, and Link himself move at normal speed. So when you do that, it looks unnatural most of the time. I'll get to that part later in this series. But yeah, I just sat down for 12 minutes to record a full day to night cycle, and it looks really cool, but I can't play it since it won't render. Here's something I think I should talk about, the Zelda shot with the Blood Moon cutscene going on in the background. First of all, you have this audio, which I didn't realize I could just punch through more noises at first to get rid of the background music, but hey, we live and we learn. This is just the despair memory. Nothing changed about that except some color correction stuff. Here, I'll solo that real quick. You can tell darker, less opacitated, more purple, and not green like the other one. That plays out like normal until you get to these particle effects around here. If I go into here and just look at this, it starts out small, but it gets larger. It looks like nothing at first, but if you open this up, it's a very intricate mask that surrounds a Guardian laser beam. After all of that debacle happens, it transitions into the next clip. And it makes sense because the Guardian's position doesn't really change. So it just flashes in and then you're good. Here's the thing I should talk about, the tapestry. This is something similar to what happened with the shot in the first blows with all of the unbounded footage, because again, this is a lot of unbounded footage, but it's not dissolved together in any way. It's just got the same good old square mask on top of the video, looks like that, with a bunch of edge feathering on it, and it's just cutting between a lot of clips like this. It looks stupid here, but if you go out and crop all of that stuff out like this, it looks really good. Next, you just have this shot of the tapestry, which is just the same as it always is in the game, but I color corrected the ever-loving crap out of it to make it seem less yellow. And then you just have another one of those transitions from earlier where it flashes really bright and then cuts into the next scene like that. This is just a shot you can get from the base game. You go here, you color correct it to make the moon feel really bright. You turn the shadows down to make the clouds feel really dark, and it feels really, really colorful, yet really, really ominous. Anyway, that'll do it for part 2. I'll get to part 3 in a little bit. Peace.